Hello, ladies and Germans, how y'all doing? This is Conor.
And I'm Rangroo, hello, hello, hello.
And guys, what we have here today on the map of Slutsk is a little bit of a disastrous replay. Rang, tell us what's going on here, please.
This is one of the replays from the Divisional Disaster Tournament. Now, I hosted just last weekend, me and Khan was casting it. Essentially, it's a tournament where you have to submit the worst deck possible and force your opponent to play it, and vice versa. And these are some of the matches, or this is one of the matches from the semi-finals. On the left-hand side in blue, we have Right Eagle playing as 78 Sturm, and on the right-hand side in red, we have Herr Robert playing Grupa Tyurania. And you gotta realize, Right Eagle is playing with Herr Robert's deck, and Herr Robert is playing with Tyurania's deck. So it's about who can sabotage the other person's deck in, reasonable manner. And as you can see from the skies, things are a bit sabotaged.
But at the same time, I mean, it was really, really fascinating to see some of these decks get played because we saw units that we barely ever see. Like, for example, these actual bike scouts. How often do you see them? Or the KFZ's 4s.
Yeah.
Like, stuff you never see. But it was an absolute blast to cast. So actually, again, so thank you, Rang, and actually thank PLK. PLK had a great hand in this as well. So thank you guys both.
And holy crap, that KFZ pretty much killed all of them apart from Run. So, yeah, that was pretty good.
Yes,
recon fight.
Now, the funny thing about this, I will say there was definitely a couple of extremely dirty decks from the match. But you can see right now, like PTRS attacks happening over here to the north. And these guys are gonna get cut to shreds like any second here. Whoa. Okay, well I hadn't expected an entire anti-air placement getting knocked out immediately, but so it did.
Yeah,
that was
up
really
north.
strange.
We got bombing the flat gun as it slowly flies over, and one of them actually gets shot down. Ah, those planes, man. They only go like 130 kilometers an hour.
But you know, when you throw a bomb at the side of the airplane, like you get some devastating results every now and again.
Yeah. But yeah, these are bad decks. Like, for example, Right Eagle's deck has like no infantry, it's just like leaders. And then Herr Robert's deck he's playing, it's just PTRS. There's a lot of PTRS grudge.
I mean, if you look at the southern side of the map, that kind of quandary happened consistently. How we have just hordes of troops, but they didn't control anything.
Because the problem is with the PTRS troops, they don't, and the recon, they don't actually project any front line, which is a bit of an issue.
Well, the funny thing as well to kind of watch here is we saw vehicles that we just don't see. Like there's the KFZs here. Actually, oh my gosh, what was one that we saw consistently? We actually saw the
RSO?
Yes, the RSO. So there were some crazy transport issues that were going on Saturday.
Yeah, it's a real popular, like with the RSO, is a real popular thing was to put regular infantry in these RSO transports. The RSO only goes 30 kilometers an hour on the road, so it takes forever and a day for your infantry reinforcements to actually get to the front line. It's probably faster to just run, to be honest.
But it was also kind of fascinating to see some kind of very, very different, unique matchups. I mean, some of the players were extremely polite in the way they kind of screwed their opponents. Other ones, well, they didn't even bother trying to take them to dinner. They just put them over a table. It was awful.
Yeah, like these decks were seen the worst of the worst because this is from the semi-finals, and as you can see there, I mean, I don't want to keep stressing this, but they are bad. You would not want to play these in a 1v1, like a normal 1v1. Oh, look in the town down south, the stock is getting pounded, yeah.
Well, and this is the kind of the amusing thing too, is that we would have unsupported vehicles go into a town, and normally that's a kiss of death. But when your opponent had zero infantry to be seen, like it was a legitimately viable option.
Yeah, this tournament has really promoted a lot of bad play that you should not usually do in a match, but you're just forced to in this case.
So I will say that there was a lot of calls to have this kind of happen again. If depending on how things go, maybe that's a potential. But we wanted to make sure. Rang and PLK wanted to make sure that we were as inclusive for the entire community as possible. So, if you want to see stuff like this, though, please let us know what kind of variations you might like, and we'll see what we can do to make that happen.
Yeah, I would like to do this again with DLC divisions, just to spice things up. The problem, however, is that not everyone owns a DLC division, so it would be a bit more inclusive, so to speak. With this one, we only made it so the baseline game divisions are in, so anyone can join in. But maybe if there's enough,
opportunity.
Yeah, like if enough people want to next time and actually have DLC divisions and want to play, and it's definitely open up. Probably just try to keep it just historical past, not do any of the Normandy stuff, because just don't want to make it too crazy where you have to throw in every single piece of DLC to be eligible, because that would be a little bit too unreasonable.
It would, unfortunately, indeed. Actually, this should go become because the PTRSs are charging across the open field.
Yeah, that one anti-aircraft gun. I'm really I thought flak 20 mils were better than this, but apparently they're not.
Well, that was the consistent message too. We'd have like a recon airplane come in and take out like 11 of these biplanes in a match. We'd have instant ground aces and instant air aces. It was incredible.
Yeah, like air power definitely was Red Baron-esque, with all these biplanes just flying about.
Well, just the amusing thing too is that I could not stop laughing and giggling. We had such incredible, bizarre things going on. Now, we did have a bit of a talk this past weekend about the virtues of the 45 mil versus the Zis 3. Without going too much further into it, definitely the debate was whether or not it was worth having a lighter AT gun but less worthwhile, or to have this HE. So, in the intervening days, have you thought about that anymore or no?
45 is probably the worst choice for screwing over your opponent in this case. Just because it has the less AP, and it also can't be used as an artillery gun. Even though this is free, you get less of them, it's a bit more expensive. Just the ability to throw down high explosive shells at long range is nasty. And it's actually, Herr Robert's doing a pretty good job so far in this match. He's got his PTRS squad covering the front line, and really, Right Eagle, he only has a few tanks. He has a few of those T-26s and Stugs, and not much else that's really holding the front. Just Herr Robert's deck is dirty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That thing was never getting clean. There's a lot of blood in those hands. But 70th Sturm. So why 70th Sturm? What is so inherently or possibly bad about the 70th Sturm that we saw so much of it on Saturday?
So the reason being, they were probably like the worst choice for this tournament is, well, they have a lot of expensive activation point slots compared to other divisions. And how we set it up, you have to, fill up 49 out of 50 activation points, fill
At
up
least
with
one
one
tank
slot,
in reserves?
like one tank in A and B, one anti-tank in A and B phase, yada yada. And with all those rules in mind, it's pretty easy just to take a lot of not just enough crap units to make the deck legal for this tournament, while still being really bad. You just do not have enough stuff in comparison to other divisions. And yes, people do take like Nashorns and Martyrs, which are, great, awesome, long-range anti-tank weaponry. But when there's no tanks to really shoot at, because no one really takes tanks in these tournament decks, they just end up being completely useless.
Well, the fascinating thing, too, is that we definitely saw the limitations of some of the Soviet infantry. It seemed like the predilection was to go and give Automachikis to really, really take advantage of their really crap range.
Yeah.
But conversely, on the German, on the Axis side, we often saw either air shots like the disheartened troops, or we would see troops that had no AT. So, again, it was just fascinating to see different perspectives on how to screw your opponent.
Yeah, it was really cool. And looking at this right now, I mean, this match is just hilarious. Herr Robert is, constantly bringing in these biplane bombers, and they're doing a really good job. Like, they're killing anti-aircraft units, they're bloody blowing up tanks, and these things are only 25 points each. They're cheaper on a goddamn tank.
It certainly is, and honestly, they're taking advantage of the fact that the 20 mils and really anti-air overall is really subpar right now. I'm trying to keep them out.
I swear the Flak 38 was better than this, but apparently they can't even stress out a single biplane here.
Well, I think he's expecting to go so much quicker. So he's like aiming ahead of him, and that's why he continues to miss. He does finally get a kill here, but he does pay for it with his life.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, there are less of those anti-aircraft guns than there are those stinking biplanes.
Yes, there's a lot of those biplanes, and it's probably a good thing in this case to have access, because there's not much anti-air really to be seen. Hopefully, once again to B phase, I think I mean, Right Eagle's deck does get a little bit better. This is actually a pretty good map for using National Ones and whatnot. The previous maps were all CQC maps, while this one is much more open for the rhinos to frolic about with their massive pack guns.
Well, you know what? They're just getting a little bit horny. It makes sense. You know, there's a lot of open countryside. Now, interesting as well. We did talk about the econ curves in this, but we tended to see a lot of V for victory actually for this tournament. Now, why was that?
A lot of people picked that and Juggernaut because it gave you a pretty low income in those first 20 minutes, and that was a good way to screw over your opponent because just having less stuff early on means you can't really buy as much, and then they'd usually not have a lot of C-phase units, or even if they have Juggernaut income, it doesn't really matter.
Certainly true. Now, we did see the occasional kind of heavy piece, like we see down south as Pack 43, right on that beacon. But like you said before, so much of it was like, okay, you have this massive I kill everything cannon, now what?
Yeah, you got to kill some PTRS squads, a sniper team. I mean, there's not a single, like, proper regular infantry in this town down south. I mean, we got, like, 11-man recon all the way down south, and then a Sturm of Viki in the mid, but I think his match has been very devoid of actual proper infantry, and it's just been leaders and recons going at it.
Well, and the unfortunate thing is that White Eagle was just so kind in giving his opponent that off-map potential kill here.
A lot of people picked off-map units because I guess it was a less of a... You can pick like the ones from single and A phase, and then they're not going to last as long because you only got 3 shots. But arguably the off maps, I think they probably were better in just taking regular artillery, because you could just take regular artillery, no supply trucks, to really screw over your opponent if you wanted to. While these off maps can clear an area and then you can push on through.
Well, and that was the interesting thing too, is that we saw probably the most supply trucks, more supply trucks in the single match than we would see over the entirety of Season 2 of the SD League. Yeah. But you can see right now in the southern part of this town, we have a lot of radios, but not a lot of guys to talk through them. It's almost a 1 radio per man kind of idea. So don't get me wrong, it's beautiful to see this kind of industry being utilized for the OKW, or excuse me, OKH actually. But to what end? There wasn't a lot of support that was going to be able to be given to it.
Oh, he kills the off-map artillery.
That's
with
okay.
Sneaky Messerschmitt strafe.
The third artillery barrage is already down.
That's going to be right on top of the Pack 43. Here comes the BMW Brigade.
I didn't see. Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes.
God damn, I haven't seen this many bikes as well. Just terrible unit. So good choice there, Robert.
What's it? These Germans have a midlife crisis right now. You know what? I mean, it's the end of the war. It's lots of Russians. Like it's a terrifying time. You got to just reevaluate your life.
It's already perfect. You already got like those biker gang helmets.
Exactly. Now, amusingly enough, these PTRS though takes out 2 of their midlife crises immediately. Yeah,
the PTRS has been pretty decent in the town. I mean, there's not much infantry as to fight with to begin with, but time any armor comes through the disc from 3 different angles from very fast firing anti-tank rifles.
What we are finding though is that it is 16-8 and White Eagle shows no signs of really being able to push this back the direction. We are getting more and more of this BMW, so consistently. Or Stroke Fuhrers, I mean, it was really kind of, it's good. It's great. I mean, we definitely saw a lot of experience, but who did they give it to?
Yeah. It's there's no one to share it with. Now all these leaders having to lead from the front now. Can't hide behind your mass of Panzer Grenadiers or Strokey. You have to take the fight to the enemy.
Now, I might be wrong here. Did a White Eagle provide Herr Robert with any kind of anti-air?
I think so, because you'd have to get like at least 1 or 2 anti-aircraft slots, just because they're like 1 AP slots. But usually Russian anti-air pieces have just been Discom trucks, and usually just in the C phase. And they're really terrible as anti-air. They might as well just be a support unit, honestly.
Well, the kind of funny thing about this, too, is that this Ju-188 is a recon plane, but at the same time, he's just trying to fire at range with 2 turrets. So he's got a 13 mil and a 7.9. So I'm like,
What's even... Oh, yeah. Trying to shoot down those planes. But, you know, not exactly a good angle.
like a one. It's not really a C-130.
Oh, there we go. Revantia helping out.
Now the question is, with those dead, is that going to be a resumption really for the German equipment? I don't know that it will be.
I don't know either. I mean, these 109 recon planes are a real huge boon because they can just strafe everything. They can't do it for a long time because they have very limited ammunition, but it helps out in picking out those pesky anti-tank guns because those Stugs need to stay alive. Because if anything, Right Eagle does have the armor advantage with his Stugs compared to just the handful of T-34 Comratis that Herr Robert has available.
Although, if he does get into a mobility fight, I would argue that Herr Robert does have a bit of the upper hand there.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually added the PTRSs as well. And I mean, if nothing else, at least you'll really, really cheese off the guy who's got to paint the strokes. But a couple of new anti-tank guns, and they're just going to continue to just pound on these strokes, which is, first of all, shocking that they haven't penetrated yet, even with the APCRs.
Mm-hmm. Those Stugs are doing a pretty good job. They're really, like, decent tanks.
Assault guns, please.
Yeah, especially when it's only 45mm guns on the field.
But it's 18-6 now, so either White Eagle takes a couple of points back, or, well, it might have been that his deck laid an egg.
Yeah, the 78th deck, which was made by Herr Robert, like, just not having much infantry means that your front line is really screwed up, as you can see.
Well, hopefully I don't ruin it too much, but I will say I remember the first one we did with the 70th deck of Herr Roberts. I think it was over in like 6 or 8 minutes. It was a bloodbath.
Down south we got 2-man recon squads flanking behind enemy lines.
Well, I forgot that the Pioneer Fuhrer has a surprising amount of firepower.
Yeah, it's got those
The bundle grenades.
Yeah, those things that go kaboom. But I can't see killing something.
The other funny thing too, I think about Saturday is that we ended up watching so many of these units die, and we go to like the kill screen, and it'd be like, wait a second, weren't there like 75 units getting killed, and we like 1,000 points, with everything being so cheap? It was kind of insane to watch such a bloodbath, and really have such a small cost at the end of it.
Yeah, it's a lot of small teams going at it, especially right now as we're seeing. There's really not much substantial on said map. But I do like how Right Eagle has managed to secure the air power now once he shot down the 1,000,001 blade planes that were coming at him. But it's not really going to help him at this point because Robert has a very good position.
Yes, indeed. And although we're getting closer and closer to Phase C, even the recon troops over here from Herr Robert, courtesy of White Eagle, I think his recon's going to be better than the 78th recon.
Yeah. I think in general, the Russian troop choices, if you're trying to pick the bad ones, are better than the German ones.
Yes. Yes.
Let's see recon.
Also worth mentioning the Russian version of the RSO trucks with the Voroshilovets.
Oh, yep.
35 kilometers per hour. There was one other one, too, that memory escapes me at the moment that was equally terrible.
Hungarian?
It was the Hungarian one, I think you're right, yes.
The Hungarian one of, like, the Rangroo.
Yes, that's what it was. Actually, we were reliably informed, I think it was by Rooster.
Hansel Lloyd.
That's what it was?
The Hansel Lloyd.
Oh, yes, the Hansel Lloyd, yes. And the Rooster actually let us know that it was an artillery carriage.
Yeah.
But down south, you might see the Pioneer Fuhrer die, and if the Pioneer Fuhrer dies, then everything south of the river is Russian.
Will be very soon, and the Pioneer Fuhrer, he doesn't have any grenades left. Definitely help out in a battle like this.
But you know
most
what?
people just have like SMGs and Mossins.
Yes. Yes. And when it comes down to it, a sniper as well will go and definitely turn the tide on that one.
Yeah.
Now, Dozer's coming in around to try to take out this Flak 38. It's going to be a price paid in blood here, but... Oh, wow.
Ah,
Wow, that was shocking.
that cover bonus really helps out a ton.
Well, the PTRS over here in the corner might take out this next upcoming truck, even as we tick down to the final seconds.
Kaboom.
Yep. And with that, Herr Robert does secure a win over White Eagle.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, you can see... I'm sorry, go for it, sir.
No, like the kills, like
Yes.
you're gonna say.
Yes. A lot of death, a lot of destruction. I mean, White Eagle losing a huge number of vehicles, not even counting the Opal Blitzes, but just a lot of assault guns, a lot of tanks, motorcycles by the score. But not to be outdone, that Pack 43 on the other side. What's that? 3 anti-tank guns, a couple of tanks, an infantry squad or 2. Sturm doing Dayan. Wow. So definitely some highlights. Just nothing lasting, unfortunately.
Yeah, the 78th has good like individual units, like the Stug and the Pack 43 and Sean's if you do get them.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have anything to support them. That's the issue.
Indeed. But folks, if you like what you actually saw in this one, just wait until Thursday because there's a real messed up kind of bit going on there.
Yeah.
But Rang, any final thoughts about the game today?
None whatsoever. It's just an absolute disaster.
It absolutely was. It absolutely was. But folks, thank you so much for kind of coming out for this one. Please come back to check out the match on Thursday. And actually, you should check out the stream over on Rangroo's channel from Saturday. It's a real good time. But I guess until next time, I'm Con Ulrich.
I'm Rangroo. Take it easy.